and welcome to another episode of Adventures in Messaging. I am Emma Stratton, and today I'm joined by the lovely Savita Kini, Head of Product Management at Speech AI at Cisco. Hello, Savita. Thanks for joining me today.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yes, I know it's great talking to you, and I know you've had a long day of Zoom meetings. So glad that we got to talk about
WebEx meetings. I have to correct
WebEx
you.
meetings. WebEx, excuse me,
Yes.
WebEx meetings, not Zoom. Excuse me, let me get that right. So, anyway, it's great to talk to you because you have a ton of experience both on product management, product marketing, startups. Now you're in a larger organization. Just pulling on all your experience, what would you say is super critical when it comes to creating messaging? I mean, what is the most important thing that product marketers should really keep in mind when they're crafting messaging?
Uh, First things first, I think we touched a little bit that product is about people. And I always tell that don't forget the people part of who you're building the product for, because finally a human has to make the purchasing decision. And so that's the number one thing. And
It
that's
is.
why product marketing, especially in the tech industry, is a very multidisciplinary experience and a strategy to it. So you need to have the understanding of a good communication skills
Mhm.
fundamentally. The second piece is really sort of getting into the domain that you're trying to build the product for. So if you're building it for healthcare, you're building it for retail industry, who you're building it for, who your end persona is, or the person that you're trying to address. And the third thing is really understanding your product in and out. I mean, if it's a tech product, roll up your sleeves, get your hands dirty, and understand your product. Because if you can't bring all the three together, like really understanding the ins and outs of the product, but knowing the domain, you drop the packet. And I'm a
Right.
networking engineer, so I cannot help it, but I have to say, you know, my about the drop packet piece is very critical. So you have to be able to sort of marry the three together, and that's why I call it a very multidisciplinary experience. And good engineers can be good product marketing people. Good product marketing people who understand the tech industry and the domain can really do an excellent job in messaging.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I love what you said about products. Like, we worship products right now. I mean, it's all about products. It's product first, and then even the name itself leads with product. So it's all about product. And you hit on a great point, which is you're not talking to another product. You are talking to people, and you're trying to get people to connect with the product and having understanding their world and their challenges, like it's specific and not being generic, is really
Yes.
key. And knowing the product deeply as well. I mean, I find it fascinating that you are product management and also product marketing. So what's the difference? What do you like better? How do you see the two side by side now that you've been on both sides?
Yes, so I'm like my husband. I'm an accidental marketer. My husband actually bought the domain for me, accidental marketer.
I love it.
We both are, engineers, and he kind of moved into journalism, and
Oh, wow.
because of his influence, I started dabbling into writing. And
Wow.
post business school, I accidentally landed into product marketing, but I'm still an engineer at heart. I like building things.
Right.
uh, so what I learned is, and then I had multiple roles where I had to do both. And being in a startup, you're kind of doing everything,
Yeah.
including business development. So my experience is basically, I don't know, you could call me a unicorn, or you could call me a jack of all trades, king of none. Which,
We'll go with unicorn, Savita, okay?
okay, all right. All right, we go with unicorn. And so anyway, so what I learned is that over my industry experience is that product management and product marketing are really two sides of the same coin.
Mm.
And some people can do both really well. Some people who are not as creative on the messaging or not able to communicate can stick to product management. And people who are more creative or good at communication skills but don't want to get into the nitty gritty of
Right.
driving engineering and so on can choose a product marketing career. But they both have to start on the journey of the product innovation together. And sooner they are engaged in the process of development of the product, the better it is. More because when you are in the cycle of developing messaging or in the process of innovation, you have to bring the industry perspective, the outside in
Mhm.
perspective. That's very critical to a product innovation process. The other piece is you are talking to customers as you are developing the product, because you don't know everything, right? I mean, you are kind of finding your way. Is this right to build? Do I need to tweak something? And those kinds of things. And so you're already message testing. And so
Mhm.
I find it very funny when product marketing people tell product management and engineers, oh, I'm going to do this grand messaging. And I say, that's a little too late, by the way, because there is no big art of messaging. You start as soon as you're conceptualizing the product, you start building the messaging. You're already testing the messaging. Yes, you can have frameworks and so on, but that's really more for creating rest of the content, right, which comes later stage in the process. But really the messaging is already baked into whoever, whether it's the CEO, whether it's the product management, because you know when you're kind of in the early in the cycle, you're kind of doing both. So to me, I invite product marketing people early in the product innovation cycle, so they have influence. They can be participating in the UX experience, they can be participating in fine tuning the product as well. And I think it gives them an early hands-on experience into the technology, into the product, the persona, the people, the communication piece, and it doesn't become an after the fact experience.
Yeah, I love that. That it makes so much sense when you talk about it because I speak to products marketers, a lot, and they talk about you've got that upcoming launch, in the distance, and then product management comes in with the information, and then you've built the messaging, and it's already past the fact you're trying to make sense of it, and it totally makes
It's a
sense to
little
just
bit too late.
it's a little bit too late and you got to just work with what you've got. But this idea of just organically from the start and the two sides being able to help each other out.
Yes.
Because I think a lot of times when you kind of articulate value and benefits, and it kind of makes you realize, oh, I hadn't thought about it like that. And I hadn't seen the product that way before. So it's a really interesting way to like holistically develop that product and go through more iterations with messaging so that when you get to like ta-da, the big launch,
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's such a cool idea. I think that's really, really great. So, well, first of all, I want to just go back to what you said about you're an engineer at heart, but you got into writing. Did you ever think that maybe you're a writer? You and your husband are writers at heart, and you just got into engineering?
Well, actually, see, the thing is, writing is just a medium. I mean,
Yeah,
fundamentally, the art of storytelling, and I think for me personally, I inherited it from my dad. So
right.
when people who see my dad, they say, oh my god, your dad's a storyteller, but he's actually a physicist. So
Oh, wow. So how fascinating. I love this. So you come from a family where, scientific mind and creative storytelling mind can coexist perfectly. You don't have to be one
yes.
or the other.
No, I
Yeah.
think we are all artists at heart. Engineers are also creating art.
Yes.
And our CEO, Chris Rohn, I mean, he's now VP engineering at Cisco, but he is an amazing storyteller. Yeah. And he can teach a thing or two to product marketing people, right? So I think I think, we talked about diversity and other things, right? And we were talking about not boxing people
Yeah.
into certain domains and experiences. So I think the art of storytelling is very critical, and messaging and anything else you do, really you have to have a storytelling uh, what do you call framework to
Mm,
it, and so I think people miss that, and then it becomes a very mechanical
yes.
process. And
Yes.
to be a good storyteller, or things to come naturally, you have to, again, back to the basics, bring the whole multidisciplinary experience together.
Yes. Well, I absolutely love chatting with you. I love your point of view. This kind of take down the walls, stop like putting everyone in tight little categories, and just there's so much value when people are able to move around and be more multidisciplinary, and the whole process to just be more organic and collaborative and ultimately successful.
Yeah.
Yeah, very, very cool. Well, thank you so much for joining me today, Savita, and giving me the end of your day, of a long day. And it's been great chatting with you. And
It's
thanks to
been my
everyone.
pleasure. It's been
Yeah.
my pleasure. Thank you for reaching out.
Yeah, it was awesome. And thanks to everyone who's watching. We'll see you next week with more great insights and adventures in messaging.